What's up, football fans? I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our two latest book releases, Football: A Love Story and What Did Football Teach Me? Visit our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copies today.
Kicking off the Saturday six-pack is Oregon and Michigan State, and this is a rematch of last year's game. And in my opinion, the same rules apply. Despite some of the name changing on both sides, can Michigan State play great perimeter defense? That's where Oregon was able to come back and ultimately win the game last year versus the Spartans. Now, the Ducks still possess two outstanding runners in Royce Freeman and Kenai Benoit. Now, Michigan State has a good one themselves in L.J. Scott, but the key for that Spartan offense will be Connor Cook and his ability to protect the football and avoid the big mistake. If that happens, they'll win this game easily. Defensively, it's about remaining gap discipline as well versus Vernon Adams. I think the most underrated element for Oregon is their ability to stop the run. I see this being a mid-20s type of a ball game with the Ducks coming out on top, knocking off Michigan State. Big game in the FCS this week between Coastal Carolina and South Carolina State, and the Chanticleers was able to hold off a Game Furman squad 38-35, while South Carolina State knocked off Arkansas Pine Bluff in the MEAC SWAC Challenge 34-7. Now, this is a game I believe will be won up front. South Carolina State has a very good offensive line and tight end that's capable of moving defenses off the spot. Coastal wins with quickness up front defensively, and offensively, both teams boast talented tailbacks, but where the Chanticleers have the advantage is in the passing game. Quarterback Alex Ross is a dual-threat guy that's very efficient throwing the football. South Carolina State played two quarterbacks last game, but in my opinion, the best one is true freshman Caleb York, who has a whip for an arm and can make any throw on the football field. Now, the challenge for Coastal will be blocking NFL prospect defensive tackle Javon Hargrave up front, while for South Carolina State, it's can they get enough from their passing game. I think what you'll see is South Carolina State try to win this one running the ball. Coastal Carolina, I don't think, can play the run very well, so I smell an upset in Spartansburg. I like South Carolina State. A battle of unbeatens early on the Division II schedule as Central Missouri travels to Kansas to take on Emporia State. And I love how the Mules play defense. They play fast and they are technically sound, and that's great to be, especially versus a team like ESU that comes into this ball game with an explosive offensive attack. This is a football team that can overcome mistakes, and they made a few last week versus Missouri Southern, but when you go 12 out of 17 on third downs, you're playing plus-level football. Look for quarterback Brent Wilson and the Hornets offense to be able to withstand and ultimately overcome the tough defensive attack of the Mules. I like Emporia State. This is a big game in Division III between Susquehanna and Johns Hopkins. The Crusaders opened up the season with a win over Lycoming last week, 20-13. And I saw Lycoming live last year versus Fairleigh Dickinson, and that's a high-powered offensive attack that Susquehanna was able to stop. Active is the name of the game for the Crusaders on defense. They played the East-West game pretty well, so if you're Johns Hopkins, how well you're able to play North and South could determine the outcome of this game. In my opinion, that's how the Blue Jays are built. Guard Colin Egan and tackle Rowan Cade are stalwarts up front. They allow the Blue Jays offense with quarterback John Germano to operate with balance, and that's exactly what they did versus Randolph-Macon in the opener, and it's exactly what I think they'll do this week versus Susquehanna, and what should be an entertaining game. I like Johns Hopkins. Over in the NAIA, Robert Morris of Illinois takes on Valley City State. Defense and special teams helped the Eagles knock off UW Oshkosh last week. The Eagles got great play from linebacker Dante Johnson and offensively from running back Raheem Gardner, who ran for over 120 yards. The challenge this week is facing a Valley City State squad that has probably one of the more explosive offenses in the NAIA, led by quarterback Curtis Walls, who is a football game plan preseason All-American. The Vikings offense put up over 580 yards last week and defensively was able to force 2 turnovers. Third down offense will be key, and at what level of consistency can both teams sustain drives? That's the biggest question. I think you have to side with Valley City State in this ball game. Look for the Vikings to hit the ground running and roll over Robert Morris. And finally, in our Saturday six-pack, we head to the JUCO ranks as Holmes Junior College plays host to Itawamba Community College. And I came away very impressed with the overall team speed on both sides of the ball from Itawamba. The Indians, when assignment sound, are very good, especially defensively. Now, staying assignment sound is crucial this week versus Holmes, who boasts one of the best dual-threat players in the JUCO ranks in quarterback Jarrett Bryant. Bryant accounted for over 280 yards last week in a win versus Pearl River. You wonder defensively for Holmes if last week was an aberration or signs of a turnaround. The Bulldogs had 4 sacks last game, and this is still a very young football team, but experience along the line of scrimmage, which bodes well for their chances. I still like Itawamba in this one. Look for the Indians' defense to shackle the running game of Holmes, making them one-dimensional.